Well, once again, this is the Black Heart, and I'm Rick Allen, the conservative. We're here again with we're going to continue the discussion from last week with these two beautiful ladies, and I don't get surrounded by beautiful ladies very often. I'm 75. Y'all don't chase me no more, but anyway, but we're gonna talk a little bit more about education. We're going on a little different tack this time, and we've got Jennifer Dillevue has done a little offering for you. So if you will, we'll cut to that real quick.
Hi, my name is Mrs. Spinelli, and I am a second grade teacher. And as an educator, it is of the utmost importance that we are able to distinguish the differences between the genders. It can be a difficult concept to teach at home, so don't you worry. We'll handle that here in the educational system. It is our pleasure and our privilege. But as we are grooming your children, as we are educating your children, we want you to put your trust in us. We'll do things such as transgender story time, learning how to know the differences between a banana and a peach. We want our young people to know both. Am I right? We'll cover these topics and more in the educational system.
Oh well, I didn't know all that was going on.
Yes,
Yeah,
if you allow it.
if you allow it. Well, the thing is, if they can keep it secret, you know, that was one of the only good thing I think that came out of the pandemic was you had parents who, because they were judged to not be essential workers, were sent home. Their kids were sent home from school, and they're sitting there taking care of their house. The kids on the computer, and they're actually able to hear some of the stuff that's going down. And I do another radio program with Pastor Jerry O. Stevenson weekdays on WLLV 1240 on the AM dial. Shameless plug if you don't mind. But I used to tell people, I said, this is parents are learning some stuff. They gotta be, because this was in their house, and these were the things that were being being introduced to their children in the privacy of the classroom. And we have since found out that by kids saying that they were told not to tell their parents what they were talking about. And
and that makes sense. I had that experience when I went to No Middle.
Yeah.
When I was speaking on it's different from this whole gender identity thing, but we used to watch all of those Mississippi burnings and all that. Our parents couldn't have known what was going on, and I feel like it was an experiment inside of itself. But it was very divisive, because what happened was black kids started bullying white kids, and white kids,
they were angry.
They felt, they
were,
why are we watching this? You know what I'm like? I get the black experience from home. I didn't know this is, what is this? And it's uncomfortable all the way around, because again, we're kids, we're children. Right. We're not 22, 25. Right. We're like real life 12.
Yeah.
We're 12.
Yeah.
We're 12.
And
the teachers didn't know what to do. Right. Like, there was a young gentleman that walked out of class. She tried to grab him, big, tall dude. Dominic was tall. And he jerked like that. They was turning beet red and everything. Who told y'all to do this? This does math, science, reading. What is this?
We need STEMs. That's what we need. We don't need.
It was horrible. And then after that, the whole atmosphere, environment of school changed.
See, Mississippi burning was about the 3 civil rights workers that were lynched, and I was in high school. At that time, I guess I was 16, maybe. And that also, within a year of that time, the three girls were murdered. The Klan blew up their church in Birmingham. And one of those young ladies had spent the summer here in Louisville because her mother was a gym teacher at Central High School. So she was known here in the community. She'd been up here for 3 months. And all of a sudden, she goes back, and within a couple of 3 weeks of school starting, she's been murdered. And so you showing Mississippi burning in school. Literally, you are showing a movie that's very disturbing to young people who, I assume this is what, back in the 80s?
90s.
90s, okay.
Induced trauma, like,
Okay,
it's too much. This is a rated R movie. We're
my-
12.
I had kids in high school.
Yeah.
Okay, and I talked to my kids about this stuff, so they wasn't gonna go to school and jump on anybody about it.
Right.
But we have people, we have people that are in families who literally, we weren't even removed from that. It wasn't like history to those young people. This was something that granddaddy maybe told them about, who was from Birmingham, who went to that church.
Yeah.
You know, our Emmett Till's mom.
That's how we learned history. That's how that's how I learned history.
Yeah.
It was told to us.
It was told
Yeah,
to
Your
us.
grandparents
it was-
told you. Your mom and your daddy
it was
told you.
oral history.
It was oral history.
And then somebody is just showing you a movie out of the blue.
Out of the blue without the
Without
parent,
context.
without
Of the
parent consent.
There's no way
Because what happened is
And
our
without
teachers,
context.
right?
And that's the thing, and that's
Yeah.
how I'm not really in support of critical race theory, because what area are you starting at? You know,
Right.
like what does that curriculum look like?
Right.
Because for me, if you're not going to start with the beginning,
Right.
with the
The whole
beauty,
truth.
the whole truth
Yeah.
of how Africans created civilization, well, I don't know what you need to do. Just teach regular U.S. history,
Well-
teach us our states and our capitals.
Right, and
I don't know
leave
if I
it
want you to do
there.
this, because if you're not going to be able to, guide a student, I don't know if teachers know how to do that. Can white educators teach us our history? Can they?
Yeah.
Can they teach us
Yeah, I
certain
believe
aspects of history
anybody
about
can
us?
teach anything.
I mean, they could,
I wasn't
but
I wasn't born with a gun in my hand, but I've trained a lot of people about how to defend themselves with a weapon.
in
But
the
you have
reality,
to
do
be
they have
able-
stigmas? Do they have their own hang-ups? Do they have guilt like it's a lot.
It is a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but the issue that I have with it is you have to be able, one, to be able to tell the whole truth,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to be comfortable enough in the facts to be able to navigate a whole conversation.
Right.
And what's happening is our children are being left to fester these feelings, and because it gets so intertwined and it gets so deep that our kids don't know how to react, because that could very well be right now the first time that they've ever heard of this.
Right.
You know, so without any backstory and
No
without
context.
without the context, without the teacher being able to have that crucial conversation, without that teacher feeling uncomfortable,
Because that teacher's hearing stuff she never heard before. or
hearing
he never
before.
heard before. Yeah.
And so the problem with all of that is people are getting mad at the teachers for teaching the curriculum that was given to them. You need to go to McGraw-Hill
Yeah.
and figure out what they put in these books,
Yeah.
because the teachers are teaching what's in the book.
Yeah, but it's
But
an
the book
incomplete
is
story.
not right.
It's an incomplete story.
Story.
Absolutely. So that's where the problem is. That's where the issues come in. Is because
But
a
that's
half
strategic.
truth
That's-
is
Now,
a whole lie.
I got to get us back on the subject because we were talking about the pronouns.
We sure were. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that was what you said is, it's still to the same point. It's just we're on a different subject.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the idea that we have people promoting concepts to children that God made a mistake. If you don't, but you can't, in some schools you can't mention God. So
Yeah.
if there is no God, then He didn't make a mistake. So whatever we want to do goes.
And that brings me back to the war on our children. There's a war on there. I call it psychological oppression. There is a war on the psyche of young minds that are impressionable. You can go outside right now and tell a child to take this brick and throw it over against there. I'm gonna give you $5. He'll do it. Like, why would you do that? You should not. Why, you should know better not to do it. Guess what? They don't.
They don't.
And so they're preying off the innocence,
Ignorance.
innocence and ignorance of children.
Yeah.
You know, that it's a dangerous game that they're playing.
Yeah.
I don't have any confusion. There's only male and females, nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The hermaphrodite existed eons ago. We're not getting ready to even play a hermaphrodite game.
Well,
There's boys and there's
I
girls,
mean,
and that's it.
I've known hermaphrodites. They
Okay.
exist and they need to be treated with dignity and
So now this
yeah,
whole
but
culture, they're all
but
hermaphrodites.
now all of a sudden,
No.
everybody has to live in their world rather than everybody. I mean,
And that's
my sexuality was only something I discussed with
There's
a
no
young
dis-
lady that I liked, and I was trying to say, "Do you like me?"
Me.
You know.
but our kids are seeing things, and this is what I say. It goes back to the environmental issues that's going on outside of school.
Yeah.
So what's happening is our kids are getting into school and they're having questions for these teachers, and those teachers are left to their own device to teach however they want to teach.
Oh, you're being charitable. They're bringing in stuff.
But
Yeah, they
no, but
are.
I'm saying, but these. So
I
I,
got some
can give the
stories.
example of my son. They were talking about rape in his classroom. When his little boy in the classroom, his dad or brother was in jail for rape. So the teacher overheard this conversation. He gave the definition of rape, sent home the letter, and said, "This is what I gave your children. Now you talk to your kids at home about this." Those are the type of things that don't need to be discussed in school.
I agree.
Those things need to be discussed at home.
Yeah.
I can't go and say, now things are, say, I can go and say, well, I identify as a white female.
No.
Well,
You know, I can, but according
I
to
mean,
what's going on now, I can say that.
And here's-
Or I can say I identify
Oh, yeah, I
as
see what you
right.
mean,
I can
yeah.
identify as,
Right.
as a white male.
Right.
And who can say that I can't?
thank you.
The-
I mean, this is
this is the issue in the
common
school
sense and
is
truth is being left outside
Out.
in the alley.
Absolutely.
And honestly,
know?
right now, I feel like there's also there's an attack on women. You know what I'm saying? The woman of the year was a man.
What?
The woman of the
Yeah,
year
was a
I
man,
know.
yeah.
was a man.
Yeah.
And we're
The
getting into
woman
the
of
sports.
the year was a man.
man.
And then it's so, and I don't know who has the beef. Because now I can go back to feminism. I can go back to the history of the white man and the white woman and their quarrels and their things and how they kind of spilled over into our affairs. That's maybe another show. But why are you so angry and why do you want to compete against me? You can't play in my sport? Our anatomy is totally different.
Different.
If I go up for that layup and then you come up too, I'm gonna be knocked all the way into left field. I'm not playing with you. You know what I'm saying?
There was
I don't care about your wig.
There was a back in the 70s, there was an effort to involve professional, good women basketball players in the professional NBA. And ended up with the NBA basically sponsoring women's leagues.
Yeah, the
League,
you know.
WNBA,
Yeah.
right?
WNBA.
Because there's a
Over
difference.
Right.
Because these
Yeah,
two genders
but
are
there
different.
There was a young lady who, a guy 6'10", shooting foul shot. She did what guards do, set up behind him and do this thing where, so he can take the impact. And he shot the shot and started backing up and turned around, and she was right where when he turned around. Her little 5'8" or 9"
Yeah.
jaw,
Done. Broke.
smashed the whole face. Her little 5'8", 5'9" face was right where his 6'10" elbow was. And the guy, he looked like, I don't think his career lasted much longer. He looked like he was destroyed.
Yeah, because
He didn't want to hurt her.
Yeah. even in street ball,
and
when tomboys used to play with the boys, they even had a sense like, okay, I know I'm playing with a girl. I'm not gonna.
Right.
Yeah,
they know that, and
Yeah.
because girls is just as good as boys. Some girls
Yeah,
out there, is
yeah,
just,
that- I
but
mean,
even still, they
It depends on what facet of the game. If you're gonna play inside, girls gonna get hurt.
yeah,
Yeah.
And they're playing banging with the guys.
yeah.
But this young man, I forget his name. He was a European player. I remember that. And she was very. She said it wasn't his fault. She was just playing the game, doing that. That was part of the game, setting him up for a charging foul.
it was.
And if it had been a guy who was 6 feet tall, he'd have just got bumped. He'd have flopped back on the ground and kicked back and slid and looked like, oh, I've been hurt.
Yeah.
But she did it, and her face, one side of her face was smashed, jaws. I mean, seriously. I mean, a nose.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
is the difference
Between the
between
physicality.
it, right?
And I'm just, I don't
And he didn't
understand the
throw his
people,
elbow. He just turned around.
and I don't understand the people that are promoting this agenda and what type of mental capacity that they have. Like, where do you see the fairness? What is this? Because what I'm not going to do is get caught up into anybody's mental disturbance or illness of the mind. I'm not going to do that. I wasn't raised that way. I'm not going to do this
Just
with
'cause
America.
Just because you're crazy.
Because it's here, and this whole accept thing, and that's another thing that has happened terribly wrong in America. This accepting, like, and it's so sensitive, and everybody has to accept everything. I don't have to.
You
Yeah.
don't. You don't.
I don't have to do that. I do not have to subscribe.
We
to
got
this.
about 9 minutes.
And even
we got to get to CRT.
oh, I thought we were going to talk about. I was going to say about the
Go ahead.
he, she, them, whatever.
Oh, yeah,
The
go
best way to get over all that is whatever your name is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just call you by your
Just
name.
call you by your name.
Isn't that simple? What are your pronouns? No, my name is Ahamara.
Right. That's it.
That's why.
That's it.
That's why we
Yeah.
have names.
That's
Yeah.
why we have names.
My
So
mama-
I'm gonna whatever your
My mama
name
gave me a
is
nickname.
on your birth certificate.
Little Ricky.
Is
I'm
what
Ricky.
it's whatever your name is on your birth certificate.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to call you. What
Yeah.
is your legal name?
Right.
Because even moving forward, it was a big to do about the elections and things because people wanted to be. They didn't want to go by their legal name when they voted, and they were offended because your legal paperwork
Yeah.
stated that you were one sex and you came as another and you were offended. Don't be offended. If you want to do the work to change all that, then do it.
And then be proud of it.
And be
Don't
proud of
punish
who you
people
are,
for
but
not
you
knowing you
cannot
did it.
be mad at somebody for calling you your legal name.
Or addressing you by of what you look like. My son said he went to Qdoba, whatever the place is, and it's a man. He said, how can I help you? And he was like, yeah, let me get a number 2, whatever it was. And he was like, yes, sir. He was like, I'm a ma'am. And my son was just like, I don't know what to do now.
Right.
He was like, I'm a man. But he looks like a guy.
right.
Total man voice.
Be like-
My son called him sir out of, respect.
Respect.
And he came back at him. He said, no, I'm a ma'am.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay, sir. That's what my son said he did. I said, oh no.
Said it again. You know?
Yeah, but that's crazy.
Yeah.
How can anyone
We are
know?
there's an effort to make normal illegal.
Yeah. It
You
is.
know.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It is.
And
Common
it is
sense.
what we perceive normal.
I don't
you
think
know,
we're going to get to CRT this time. We got to do this
But we
again.
did earlier a
We
little
did.
bit.
Well, yeah, we did.
We
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
We did talk about
When we went down to Mississippi. Burning.
correct.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
because that's definitely what it comes to is teachers being equipped to have the whole conversation with the whole truth. And if you're not equipped with that, then leave it alone.
Okay. Now, I will say this because this is the thing that concerns me about CRT. They're not teaching CRT like they teach it in law school. What I hear being taught to these young children is a reintroducing of racism back into their psyche.
Exactly.
All of a sudden, for years we were saying, look, quit worrying about somebody's race, but can they do the job? Now all of a sudden, if you are a little white boy, you are automatically an oppressor,
Yep.
and that's what everybody's taught.
Oh, that's not
And
right.
if you're
But that's
if
the
you're a
thing.
little black boy, that means you don't raise your children, and you got baby mamas, and
It is.
I mean it's different. And if you're everybody's got their own this new identity,
Everybody has their new idea. So what needs
and
to
that's
happen
all you
is
and that's basically all you got to live up to, because that's what you're taught.
Yeah. And it subconsciously programs the black child
Yeah.
that
And it
to fear,
reestablishes
and
racism.
It reestablishes it because now I'm angry. That's what happened in the 90s. You reestablish something. I didn't know what colorism was, racism, no, none of that.
Yeah.
I lived perfectly fine with white kids and black kids, even though it existed.
Yeah,
we
I
had no
know it.
idea.
You saw 'em.
And then you just gave me this total shock, like why I shouldn't like these people anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I was angry for years. Like I'm just now calming down. I'm dead serious. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
But we have been
Like-
being attacked in so many different ways because it's so you have the CRT coming this way, you have the social agendas coming this way, you have the kids not knowing what to do, you have broken families, you
Right.
have all a combination of all these things, and the bottom line is our kids need to be in a safe, nurturing environment to learn.
All our kids.
All of our kids.
Yeah. Can
All
I
of
say
them.
something? It never mind. That's a whole show. Never mind.
Oh, I can
Yeah,
say.
I think because it's gonna. I just looked at the clock and there ain't no point going into that.
Well,
But
I was about to say and we're also being attacked with and this is probably going to be another topic for another show, is the IEPs and the disproportionate number of our children being put on these IEPs.
mislabeling.
So what's happening? We had in preschool here in the city of Louisville, you have to either have an IEP or be low income to be put in preschool. How is a 3 to 5 year old, 3 or 4 year old getting an IEP?
Weapon.
Yeah.
Already. They don't have a fighting
They're not.
chance.
Yeah, yeah.
So
As
you
we
get
come
the
to the door.
IEP. Once you get the IEP, you get the medication. Once you get the medication, you get the check, and then your kid never
to-
has to learn.
And then your
Yeah.
child develops,
And-
and now
Yeah.
your
and
child
Uh-huh.
develops behavior issues because now they have drugs inside of their
They got-
system
yeah.
that stunts their ability and brain functioning and so forth and,
And
so forth.
once they're adults, any problem they have can only be solved by drug because
By
their
medication.
entire
Absolutely.
lives.
And
They've
when
been on drugs.
what happens is they get pushed out. They get socially promoted through school,
Right.
and then
Mhm.
I get them as the young adult that needs a second chance, and they've
Mhm.
graduated from high school and they can't read and
They
write
can't read or write.
because their
Yes.
IEP is not goal setting for real,
Mhm.
and it's just being able to push them through school.
Push them through.
No
But
child
that's a
has-
whole
Yeah.
nother.
And
But that's the war.
That's
That's
the
what I'm
war
saying. That's
on
the
our
war on the
kids.
That's why I say black people, churches. I had a conversation with Pastor Corey Show. He sits on the board, and I said regardless if I win or lose or not, I still have to do the work. Okay, and then we went to a really deep and beautiful, intimate conversation, speeding it all up. Churches should be schools and banks. If churches were schools and banks, we could totally liberate ourselves.
Mhm.
Churches need to be schools and banks, and we could
Well,
totally
you
liberate
do,
ourselves.
originally,
We need to build our own schools. I love white people.
originally
It's not taken away from
schools,
nobody.
originally schools were churches.
We're churches.
Yeah. So
If
what
you-
happened?
what happened was public education.
There goes
The
our teachers.
National
Yeah.
Education
The
Association.
degree came after the teacher.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then and here we go.
And there we
We
go.
lost
The-
and these
They-
are the pieces of
they-
integration that I'm
everybody-
talking
they
about. Now
started-
I'm on a social status.
They started, everybody began to become professionals and
Their voices start
And-
changing. They sit in
yeah.
rooms like this. They can't return your phone
I
calls
was
now
telling
because
somebody
you seem
didn't-
like you're beneath me.
didn't believe
Okay.
it. You didn't have to go to law school to be a lawyer. You just went and got a job working in a law office,
Mhm.
and you would work long
learn.
enough, and that lawyer would sign off on stuff for you. And when it was time you wanted to go take the bar, you take it, and if you could
Exactly.
pass the bar,
Listen, I worked
you
in the
became-
penitentiary for 13 years.
yeah.
Some of them penitentiary lawyers
Oh
was
yeah,
way better.
They're way better than
than somebody that was paid on
Yeah.
the street.
Yeah.
And whatever happened to the self-made man and woman? My father didn't go. He graduated from Taft High School. He was a class president. He didn't. He went to the Air Force. He doesn't have
Taft, Chicago.
Cincinnati.
Okay.
Taft High School.
Mhm.
And, he went to the Air Force. He didn't go to college or anything. But when I tell you, my daddy was the most brilliant person, still to this day. Like, I know. He ran for mayor against Abramson in the 90s. Because when you walked in our house, it was a library. We went from that wall to this wall.
Right.
We had a grand piano. My daddy could play piano. My brother could play piano. And there is not a conversation my daddy didn't know. Jeopardy would come on. Why do you know all the answers?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He
Yeah.
was but he was self-made.
Yeah.
Reading was his thing. He had. I still carry them books on my
The first
back.
billionaire,
Like
I'm
we have
pretty
to teach
sure,
the self-educated
only went to the 8th grade.
Yeah.
men and women.
His name was G. Paul Getty. He was born in the 1800s, and he was in the 1960s. He had I think $1 or $2 billion. He was the first billionaire, and he was somebody decided, ooh, You only got 15 seconds. I'm getting. That's when you got to come to the radio show. Anyway, God bless you guys. This is the Black Heart Conservative. I think we got through CRT and the pronouns a little bit. So we're going to do this again.
Right.
Love you guys.